It didn't take much more than a bottle and 2 chairs to make a speakeasy. This is what Daniel Okrent said in his book, Last Call, The Rise and Fall of Prohibition. Today, join us for some stories. Get your own bottle, glass, mug, and relax. This is Speak Easily, and I'm your host, Krista Stauffer.
Whetstone did Little Shop of Horrors for their spring musical. Yep. He was just like so excited about that. He was telling me like, okay, you know, the whole creative process. It's like, okay, we want to treat it like a rock show. So it's like we're doing this kind of like rock lighting, and he's using Eurovision as like an inspiration. Like, so,
oh my gosh!
So yeah.
Did he design the show?
Yeah.
Oh, how cool!
Yeah. So yeah, he was taking me through the whole steps. So yeah.
That's an act within itself. Like I can't.
Yeah.
Because you have to know every little thing of the show that's going on and when it happens and cue it to when it happens and hope the actors actually do the thing when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, because and it's a high school play and of course there are going to be flubbed lines, mistakes, miscues, things
that never happens
falling.
in the professional world.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Does he like musicals as opposed to plays, or does he have
He hates musicals.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, he and I think, probably share the same philosophy towards musicals.
Tell me about your philosophy.
That it's like if the narrative is advanced with a song, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, then we can get behind the musical portion of it. If it's just singing for singing's sake, then no, forget about it. Then it's
So what would you describe then as a good musical that uses the music to advance the narrative plot? Something like Hamilton?
Well, sure.
Hamilton's more like an operetta, though, in a weird way.
Yeah. Boy.
I'm sure you can think of ones that don't fit that credential.
Yeah. Okay. Like we saw Into the Woods.
Oh, yeah. I know that one.
Terrible. I was like, I wanted to leave like halfway through. It was just
singing for singing's sake.
Yeah. Awful.
Yeah.
But, of course there's some, classic musicals that everybody loves. I mean, Grease is one that it's hard to say, oh, I don't like Grease. But
I'm not a huge fan, but that's more because it's problematic.
Yeah. But I do. I think Little Shop is like a great example. Like,
okay.
So I love Little Shop.
That's one of my top 5.
Yeah.
I feel like that is kind of one of the perfect Broadway musicals where everything just runs right into the next. And the songs, they're there for song's sake, but they do advance the plot and they lead things, and the storytelling is fun and it's dark and it's silly and
right. Yeah.
I really like that show.
Yeah.
And there's no part that I can play in that show at all. Nothing. Except if they did.
You don't consider yourself an Audrey,
Do I act
candidate?
anything like an Audrey? No. I probably would fit Orin Scrivello DDS.
Okay.
I would be the abusive dentist.
Okay.
Probably better than anything.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what that says about me, but that's where we are. What is your favorite musical then? I know you don't like musicals, but do you have one that you're like, yeah, that's a good one?
Yeah, well, I'll say Little Shop.
Okay.
I'll stick with that one.
Okay.
So
well, play it safe then.
Yeah.
What's the worst you'd never see it again?
Oh my God.
Is there a long list?
Well, I don't see many, so I try to avoid them. So that's probably why I don't have a whole go-to list.
Yeah.
But I did go see Moulin Rouge, which was really
Did
great.
you like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The movie was terrible. So there's an example that I would say I loved the stage performance.
Yeah.
Can't stand the movie.
Do you think it was more believable because it was on stage? Because you had that aspect of live as opposed to
I think so.
Baz Luhrmanning?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't mind the movie, but but I did not see the stage version.
Well, right, and also, I felt like the movie had some poor casting as well. So that
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah. But that happens a lot.
that happens. Yeah.
All these people that they keep putting to these movie musicals that are not musical people. Like, there's a plethora of folks to choose from that know what they're doing.
Right.
Stop putting Russell Crowe in a musical. Somebody, I think it was Jason Testeven, posted the other day of like, we want to watch a horror film.
Yeah.
Spam me with your favorites. And I said, Les Miserables. Russell Crowe. That's all I need to say. That is nightmare fuel.
Yeah. I know. And then when you think about, Cats and,
Didn't see it. I didn't even see it. Nope. Couldn't do it.
But well, and wasn't Anne Hathaway also in Les Mis?
Yeah.
So that was another like.
It just felt gratuitous.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we got her.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
But you're a film guy though too.
I am. I'm more of a film guy.
Were you always like growing up? Were you into film?
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
Okay.
And I was like a TV generation kid.
Sure.
I grew up, like watching late night TV in the late 70s and the early 80s, and watching the late night horror film. Watching Elvira, watching
Is she still doing stuff?
she's still, she just kind of celebrated her 40th anniversary as Elvira, I believe,
Good for her.
last year. So
How did that come about? Like, was she just a random actress they pulled to do this character?
I'm not really sure like how she like got that gig. I mean, because she was a showgirl, she was a model,
She's gorgeous.
She dated Elvis.
Did she really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, maybe that did it.
Maybe, but
Looked at the resume. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, you got the job. Okay, you're good. You're solid.
So so there was a link, a link to Elvis there too.
Okay.
So, but just like watching a lot of the late night movies or.
Were you allowed to, or were you staying up late?
No, well, I was probably, staying up a little bit later, past my bedtime, or
Did you grow up here in Columbus?
Cleveland.
In Cleveland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So growing up with cool local TV, we had Ghoulardi, and we had Big Chuck and Little John, and we had Superhost, and like like all these like local TV personalities that would show the the feature movie similar to Fritz.
Like Fritz, okay.
Here.
Okay. Yeah.
But we had a whole plethora of people in Cleveland that did the Fritz thing.
Yeah. But that's kind of how things were done.
That was how things were done. That was how you found out about things. You didn't have like all of these streaming services that you could find like, pretty much, anything, any genre, anything you want. It was like
this is what's on.
Yeah, or you had to dig for it, and like it was more of a hunt, and you felt like it it kind of shaped who you were, as a person. And then you met other people that were into that same thing. And that's really,
Did you do the Rocky Horror Picture thing? Did you ever do that growing up?
I didn't do that until college,
okay.
really. Yeah. So, when I came to Ohio State, then
Okay.
it was like, okay, well, then we would, do the Rocky Horror thing.
What theater was it that...
I'm trying to think if it was like the Drexel North maybe at that time.
I feel like I saw
might be
something
wrong.
recently.
So
I don't know why the Strand sounds familiar, but was there a Strand?
the Strand in Delaware.
Yeah. I think they used to do it there, even till more than recently. But
yeah.
So what did you go to Ohio State for then?
Well, it's funny. My son and I talked about this too, because he laughs at me that me being in arts marketing right now. Like I started really as a finance major.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you did have some mathing in there.
I guess maybe. So I started as a finance major. entered the Max M. Fisher School of Business at Ohio State, which, still exists today. I think I was probably like one of the first, to actually go under that name, But yeah, started with finance and then realized, boy, I don't really like this. And then it moved to marketing and communications and then kind of morphed into arts marketing.
Arts marketing.
Yeah.
What was your passion for the arts at that time? Like, what transferred you into?
It was really radio.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got into radio at Ohio State. I was a DJ on WOSR. That was the call.
Is that the campus channel?
That was the campus channel.
Okay.
Those were the call letters. WOSR, Ohio State Radio. It was on. Actually really low wattage station. I think we were on like Cube Cable. Like we had a Cube Cable channel. So that's really kind of dating myself too.
Did you have tapes, records, CDs? Was it a blend of things?
Oh, it was a blend of things, but
Okay.
it was mostly vinyl. So,
Okay.
Yeah, but
That's kind of better anyway.
Yeah. It all kind of comes back around. But yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it was mostly vinyl. We did have some CDs. And keep in mind too, like at that time, like the CD was just coming out, like as a format, so brand new.
Do you remember your first CD that you purchased?
Actually, I had my first two CDs. They were a present to me by my girlfriend at the time, who also bought me a CD player. So I got a CD player.
That's a great gift. Wow.
And two CDs. One was 9 Inch Nails.
Okay.
And the other was Soup Dragons. So.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Mine was Milli Vanilli. It's okay.
So,
we all have our things.
Yeah.
Was it like the big CD player?
It
was
was
it like a
Walkman type? a rack system CD player
with just one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think ours was a good chunk.
Yeah.
Which only had one in it. It's amazing to think of that now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then listening to the not Walkman. They wouldn't have been a Walkman. What was it? Discman?
The Discman.
The Discman.
Yeah.
Having to like tap it to make it go.
Yeah. The Discman. I remember that.
I had to blow on it to get it.
Oh boy.
I always hated those on airplanes because they would skip every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And you take your little book of CDs and that's most of your bag is your CDs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I liked those.
I do. I still do.
Yeah.
So.
You still have a CD player?
Oh yeah.
Do you
yeah.
really?
Yeah. I
Do you
still
use
have
it?
not as much as I used to. I'm more of a vinyl guy right now, but I still have all my CDs. I won't ever part from them. So
It's just nostalgic at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I look through the CD books and it's like, oh, I have all of these on digital, but it's so kind of it's fun to look through them.
Well, in working in radio, as long as I had two, it's like I kind of amassed, quite a collection of vinyl and CD.
Yeah.
So, and plus me just kind of being a collector at heart, it's hard for me to like part from them. And so, I always tell my son Aaron, I'm just like, you don't understand what a valuable collection of music you are going to inherit.
Yeah.
Completely. I'm like, take care of this stuff.
Yeah. So. My eldest kiddo is wanting a record player.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
I feel like that never really went out though.
No.
Like that was even when cassettes and CDs were becoming a thing, it was still like, no, I like my vinyl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's just it's the way it should be.
Well, and to think like back in the day, you could buy a full length album for like $6 to $9, and now it's like
40, 50?
20 to 70, depending on what it is. So.
Is it just because it's more to make them, like it's more difficult to make them, or just because they're more collector type?
Yeah, well, I just think
industry,
cost of living.
Right,
so,
that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
So you went into radio. Were you intending to become a DJ? Like, or was this just a side gig at
Well,
school?
initially it was just, something that I thought, would be fun to do. My friends were involved, and so like it was an activity to do my freshman year, and then
Yeah.
it was just like, okay, this is really cool.
Yeah.
I'm into this. And then when I was still in college, I started interning at WCBE. Eventually I got, a job at WCBE, was there probably close to 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it just was something that kind of bit me and just never really went away.
Were you on air?
Yeah.
there?
So
Okay.
yeah, I had a Saturday night show for close to, like I said, probably 8 years.
Oh, wow.
And then I had also done some like morning hosting as well from time to time, and did a lot of production work as
Yeah.
well. So,
Yeah.
which like everybody did.
You have
So,
to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
right?
That's how you first learn.
Yeah.
That's how you got your foot in the door, was doing production work, and then hopefully you could get on air.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So
When you were at the OSU station, what was like the style of music that was there?
it
Was it
was
just rock and
well, it was very very alternative at the time. I mean,
yeah.
I had an industrial like show like for a while.
Okay.
We played everything. Really,
Okay.
but it was just, but at the time very very alternative. So.
I don't want to date you, but what years was this?
So I was at Ohio State from '89 to '93.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So very much that style of alternative at that point.
Yeah. So.
Lots of Nirvana and
Yeah, because like Nirvana started coming out in the early
Mm-hmm.
'90s, but it was still kind of like what people call first wave music now. So
who would that be?
oh, well, I guess you could at that time. Well, 9 Inch Nails was becoming really popular. So that's when I said I had an industrial show. Like I was playing a lot of the bands that were coming out of Chicago,
Yeah.
at the time, on Wax Trax Records. So, you had Ministry at the time, when they were, more, or I should say less like less metal, less hardcore than they are now. But, Ministry, Thrill Kill Cult.
I mean, you're talking to the girl whose first CD was Milli Vanilli, so I'm in the very wrong camp here, I think.
Right. But and what's funny is like those bands are still touring.
Are they really?
Today?
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Like I think Ministry is just played at the Newport recently. So, 40 years later.
Did you do a lot of shows? Did you go to a lot of shows at the Newport since it was right
yeah,
there?
Yeah.
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 Who did you see there that wound up being anybody that blossomed from there?
Well, probably one of my favorite shows at the Newport was seeing the Cramps.
Okay.
So, but I mean, my wife has this story. It's like I wasn't at that show. I sure wish I was at that show. But my wife has a story of seeing Nirvana at Stashes.
Oh my gosh.
So like right when they were starting. So
That's insane.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Where were you when Kurt Cobain died? Do you remember?
no.
Okay. I didn't know if that was like a poignant.
No,
Memory
I
for you.
wasn't. I wasn't really a big Nirvana fan
No?
either.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't into the
either.
grunge scene. So
I do remember there was a group, it must have been like, because I was what, 93, 94? Can we fact check that? When did Kurt Cobain die? I want to say 93. Maybe what, 92? See, now I'm
yeah.
second guessing myself. But there was a group from our school that was on maybe like the Washington, D.C. trip or something, some school trip. And I just remember one of the guys that was so into Nirvana, he was just sitting in the hallway, just sobbing and sobbing and
Yeah.
sobbing. And
That would be April 5th, 1994.
what?
94.
94.
Okay.
Oh, I
Well,
tried.
we're close.
We're close.
Yeah.
It was the 93-94 school year, so I got that part correct.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then you were at the radio for a while, and then were you doing any arts management stuff there? Or
Yeah, well, I was doing a lot, with at CBE, try to always kind of like involve myself in what was happening. Also, back to the movies. I was really into movies at the time. I was, when I left CBE, I started working for the Drexel.
Oh, okay.
And so I had been working for the Drexel Theater at that time, and that was when, the Drexel was still managing the, in addition to the Bexley, theater, which is still there.
The one in Grandview?
Yeah, there was the Drexel Grandview.
Yep.
There,
Is there
was
another one?
We had opened the Arena Grand.
I didn't know that.
And the Arena Grand Theater
Okay.
was really kind of like one of the first like entities when they were building the Arena District. So,
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
yeah, so Arena Grand, no more. But Drexel was in a partnership agreement with Nationwide Realty to manage the Arena Grand Theater. And we had also helped launch the Gateway Film Center. So when Gateway Film Center opened, it was the Drexel Gateway. So
Wow. Okay.
So Drexel, had also helped open that.
Was their intention even with those places to show kind of more of the art film kind of
absolutely.
idea?
Yeah. I mean, and like when I first came to Ohio State, there really wasn't any other theater, around that was showing like those types of art house independent film. It was really only the Drexel.
Yeah.
So when people said, "Oh, I'm going to go see," I'm going to go to the Drexel, or I'm going to go see a Drexel movie, people knew what that was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later that, then you started to have, competition like in Columbus with the art house movies. So,
do you prefer art house to general release?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the draw for you?
I just, like I said, I've always been just like attracted to kind of like weird or counterculture, things, just, of course, there are plenty of like first run commercial films that that I like, but I've always kind of been attracted to documentaries or foreign films or just weird cult films.
Just different appeal.
Right. And those are usually the types of films that you'll find at an independent art house theater. So, I was, really fortunate. I feel like the time I was working with the Drexel to really see kind of a boom in the independent documentary field as, and just seeing like some really cool, quirky films kind of come out at that time. So,
which is so cool that they blossomed now and it's become such a respected art form as opposed to just like a side thing.
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So then when did you start working with some of the more local entities that you work with now?
Yeah, boy, it's just like I just think about, a lot of the different organizations that I've worked with or for, in Columbus, and it seems like I've pretty much worked with almost every arts organization.
I think I've covered the ones you haven't. So together we've got them all covered.
Yeah. I haven't been like really like on stage, doing anything.
You can change that.
Right. That's not for me. I'm not into like even though like I do work for Actors Theater. There's no way I'll get on that stage. I'm behind the scenes. I'm marketing. I'm development. I help
the growth process.
Right. I help put the actors on stage. Yeah. So I don't.
So thank you for that.
So I don't want to be on stage.
Yeah.
But so I feel like I've always been drawn to the arts, whether it's film, whether it's like music, helping to advance, the creative field, like in Columbus and somewhere or another, somehow, being involved in it. But like I said, music and film have always been kind of like my first loves or passions. So I tend to like, try to find a way to work within them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So
How'd you get involved with Actors Theater?
I was just at the time just looking for for additional work. I had the time and was looking to pick up a side gig, and I saw that actors needed some help with marketing, and so I'm like, okay, well, I know how to market the arts,
sure, yeah.
so even though I had never really been involved in theater, I just thought, okay, well, maybe I'll just kind of try this out, and I've been with Actors Theater like over 8 years
I was
now.
gonna say it's been a while.
Yeah, so
Well, and I love that they keep their model consistent of just. I remember performing with them for the first time because I'd never worked with them before, but 3 years ago at this point. How many people are in the audience? Because
Right.
it's accessible.
Right. Well, yeah, that's number one. It's
Yeah.
like making the arts accessible. So the fact that we perform outdoors.
Yep.
And so we always say we have no walls. You know.
Certainly not. We found that out the hard way.
Right. We have no walls. So it's open to everybody.
Yeah.
So regardless of economic barriers or other barriers. So we really try to present, like free theater for all. So even though it still costs us money, so there are other ways
Right,
we try to
right.
subsidize,
Yeah.
what we're doing. So,
And it's good stuff.
yeah, yeah.
It's really good. What's your one of your favorite shows you've seen in the park?
Oh, I would say the time that I've been with Actors Theater, I would say probably my favorite is The Emperor of the Moon. So
Okay.
So just we've
That was
we've done
toward
that.
the beginning, wasn't
We've
it?
done that maybe maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so
I
yeah,
think I got that one.
yeah. So
Well, I loved it because it was the only theater that was doing anything when COVID stuff was happening.
right.
So the only place that could.
Right. We were actually the first arts organization to perform
Yep.
after the COVID closures, and it was real touch and go there
remember.
for us. We're like, okay, we're planning a season. Is this gonna happen? It's like
Because that was summer of 21, right? That's when I
Yeah.
did Eurydice there.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and there were even some moments of just like, okay, let's mask while we're downstairs.
Yeah,
and
like
just be careful.
reduce casts. Making sure rehearsals are very
Outside.
very outside, very safe.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're still dealing with that to some
Oh, yeah.
degree today.
Yep.
So
That was the worst.
yeah, yeah.
I
it
will
was.
say the worst of the worst was doing online theater. I would love to never go back to that ever again.
Yeah, I mean, it was a valiant effort, for a lot of people.
Right.
I mean, we were trying to provide like art
Yeah.
and entertainment to people like in a time when they had no other way of being able to experience it.
Right.
So in that sense, great, but
Yeah.
but when you kind of look at the final product at the end, it's just like, is this something that you would
Yeah.
really pay to see?
Right.
No, probably not.
That's
but
true.
but
And I wonder, we've been talking about this a little bit around here of just how distracted people are now and how hard it is to sit through a show.
yeah.
And I wonder if it's because during COVID, we watch these things online. You can get up in the middle of
Yeah.
it. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody's seeing you.
Yeah.
And you
There's
don't have to pay
there's no
attention.
pause button though
No.
when you're seeing it live though.
There's none. No. Gotta stay focused. Oh, man. So you are involved in a really cool project right now.
I am.
Okay.
So
us about
like
this.
yeah, so I'm involved with all these other
Right,
things
right.
in my professional life.
Yeah.
But like my personal life, I've decided to let me backtrack a little bit. So like when I was working with WCBE and still working in radio, there were times when I would produce my own shows, like whether they would be bringing in a band or hosting the Elvis, marathon, or this was a way that I was able to kind of go back to my production roots in a way.
Yeah.
And think about producing shows again. And I just had an idea about what I could do, like as somebody. Well, first of all, so my wife is a 2-time breast cancer survivor, so she's the inspiration, for this show. It's a burlesque show, as you know, that really focuses on celebrating breast cancer survivors or people, that have survived, cancer of other types, and also their families and their support structure. And really, the show was to think about how women, in particular, can reclaim their lives again after experiencing breast cancer.
Yeah.
So, and it's a struggle for a lot of people, and just seeing it firsthand with my wife. One of the things that she would always say to me was just like, I just want to feel like myself again. So I was thinking, like, well, what can I do? Like, kind of drawing on my own experience and my own interests, and like, what can I do to kind of help people feel like themselves again? And so I was like, burlesque show, why not?
Why not? Why not?
And so, and I really think about like this show as being kind of like an intersection of cancer survivorship and sexual wellness.
Yeah.
So, because that's kind of like an area with cancer survivors that really isn't explored very often. You can talk to a lot of physicians that treat people, and it's like, this is an area that is woefully like underexplored. So, just thinking about how to create this community, for people, how to get together with other survivors, how to allow people to participate, like in a burlesque show, whether taking a workshop or being just in the audience, and experiencing it with other people. How that might be able to like move them forward, like in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So,
and this is not the first time you've done this.
No.
How many years are you now into it?
Well, actually, this big show coming up in the summer is kind of like my big showcase. I've kind of done a couple of teaser shows, just to test the waters a little bit, see how people would respond to it.
Yeah.
Because I also was thinking, is this something that people would accept or be offended by or just completely reject, or I don't get it.
Right.
Why a burlesque show? But just kind of talking with physicians at Ohio State and other physicians that deal with women's sexuality and sexual wellness after cancer, they're very supportive of it, and they're like, oh my God, this is like such a cool thing.
Yeah.
So I've been getting a lot of reinforcement from
medical professionals
about how this.
Yeah. How do they find that something like this supports that mentality or that wellness for women?
Well, I feel like just hearing from physicians, I mean, there's certainly a mental health aspect to it, besides just the physical side of it and how you feel like after going through cancer treatment, whether, depending on whether, someone has had to do chemotherapy or radiation or a combination or, surgical procedures, what, small and large.
Yeah.
So, going through, cancer treatment, like affects, patients both, physically and mentally.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, and depending on how a person felt before cancer, and then after cancer, and whatever changes they may have had to experience, both physically and mentally.
And cancer in the most feminine part of a female body.
Correct. Yeah. And so it's like, how do you navigate, your life now, or how do you kind of come to terms with your new body, or or your thoughts about, is this going to come back? So there are definite fears also, just with my wife, like after she had gotten through her first treatment, like, I should say her first bout with cancer, it's like her biggest fear was that it would come back again, So it's like, sure, there's celebration, and it's like, okay, great, I got the all clear.
Yeah.
But she was always thinking in the back of her head, well, what if it comes back, And it did. So then it's like, okay, the second time, that she went, through like treatment, then she was just mad. Yeah. She was just mad more than anything. Like, like, damn it, it came back. I thought I had this.
That we were done.
I thought I had this beat. So, that's a lot to kind of like just deal with mentally, as opposed to then, okay, going through like a second treatment plan of chemotherapy and radiation and everything
which is so taxing on the body. Mind and
right.
How long was she undergoing treatment then the second time?
The second time it was really aggressive. So really aggressive treatment, because she's just like, let's just do this. I'm up for it. I want to, so it was shorter, but more aggressive treatment. So it would tire her out quicker.
Significantly.
Right.
Yeah.
So the first time it was longer. She had more time in between, to recover. So yeah, there were two different types of approaches, both equally like exhausting. So,
and you had a kiddo too.
Yeah. So then it's just like, you think about, okay, well, having a young kid, trying not to have it interfere, with our home life to the degree that it's like affecting him negatively. Right. It's just like, as far as our son is concerned, it's just try to keep like life as normal as possible, and just deal with everything else as we can. And it's like we had no choice. It was like, okay, you just do what you do, because it's like, what else are you going to do? Yeah.
Gotta live somehow.
Yeah. So
where did the burlesque idea come from?
Well, I've always been a fan of burlesque as well. So, when I think about like some of my musical interests, I've also been a big fan of rockabilly. So with rockabilly music, there's pinup culture, there's tiki culture, there's burlesque culture, there's all kind of like, they all intersect, with one another. So have a lot of friends that are also like in the burlesque world. So
Is it a pretty big community of
it
that?
is. I mean, and you know, it's gone through waves. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you've seen kind of the neo burlesque movement like happen probably over the past like at least like 10 years, but you're seeing I think kind of like another wave
Yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
you know, again. So so yeah, and you know they're the big performers that you probably know and have heard of.
Yeah.
You know, like Dita Von Teese, and you know that you know she has a big Vegas show now
Right.
that she's doing.
What is the nature of burlesque? Because I know, I mean, that was like some of the burlesque houses in the 20s when vaudeville was kind of dying. Was it just more to appeal to male audiences type thing? Is that
Well,
still
yeah, I
where
mean, yeah, you think about the origins of burlesque in the United States, and it was that variety show, vaudeville. You know, there was a whole, you know, you had the burlesque dancers, you had you know a live band, you had comedy, you
Yep.
had some kind of you know
it appealed
maybe
to all?
yeah. And so you know, then eventually it started to kind of die out because it also was a big, you know, production, you know, to do that. It cost a
True.
lot. And then,
Yeah.
you know, people weren't necessarily, you know, coming to see those shows anymore, or they were being kind of like, you know,
This is bad, naughty.
you know, kind of being
Yeah.
forced out
Yeah.
of certain, you know, certain areas. You know, then it kind of morphed, you know, into more gentlemen's clubs, you know, and the kind of the artistry, you know,
Yeah.
of burlesque was kind of lost, and it became more about stripping, you know. So, but I would say you're really seeing kind of the, you know, the artistry of you know, of burlesque coming back
Yeah.
with a lot of the performers that are out there today.
It's very physical.
Very physical, very taxing. I mean, a lot of you know people that I know, like in the burlesque industry, are dancers by trade.
Yep.
So they're not, you know, you wouldn't think, oh, they're strippers or anything like that. I mean, certainly that's part of it.
Yeah.
But
They got to move.
but no, I mean a lot of them are, you know, are like dancers by trade, or they, you know, they do some really intricate
Yeah.
type things, or people that do aerial work as well, you know, with the silks
and
or
liras
the
yeah.
you know, all of you know it's quite
It's
physically
an art in itself.
demanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that because it's, you know, I mean, even growing up, it was like, oh, that's like naughty stuff. You know,
Yeah.
that's strippers, that's dirty.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's an art form.
Yeah.
And it's not about getting naked. It's about actually being an artist within what
Right.
you're doing.
Right.
And again, you're right, female empowerment and how beautiful it is.
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, and it's very much like one of the things that I like really focus on with the shows. One of the major themes that I try to communicate, besides celebrating, you know, breast cancer survivors, it's more about body confidence and body positivity.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really kind of at the heart of
Right.
survivorship is. You know, women feeling comfortable in their skin again, you know, reclaiming their lives, you know, you know, navigating their new relationship, you know, with their bodies,
Yeah.
you know, and feeling proud and feeling proud to be a survivor, feeling confident,
Yeah.
you know, feeling sexy again, you know, so that's again where the sexual wellness aspect comes in, is that, you know, these are women that still live their lives
Right.
in all aspects. It's not, you know,
It's not the cancer that is
right.
running
You know, the
everything.
cancer was just kind of a, you know, an obstacle in the road. So now it's like, okay,
I'm still here.
I'm still here, but the other thing, like I was saying before, it's like, so when you go and ring the bell, and it's like, okay, I'm done. I've had my last treatment.
Yeah.
Ring the bell. Then it's like, okay, well, what happens now? What? What happens after that? So it's like, and of course there are other survivorship
Right.
services or that are offered. Ohio State does a great job of having like classes or family therapy or other things that offers support after cancer.
Because I'm sure it's so consuming for the
Right.
family and for everybody involved that when you do ring the bell, it's sort of like, oh, now what?
Right. So and again, like, sexual wellness is not one of those things that people think of immediately, or let's say, you might be a young female survivor that may affect your ability to have children.
Right.
That's a whole other aspect, to think about too. So it's like, so you just think about it in like a lot of those different ways. And at least I do. And to think about how is it that I can create a community, for people that might not find the help that they're looking for in traditional ways.
Right. No, that's great. That's great. So tell us about the event that's happening.
Sure.
There's a big event happening. I'm holding here. Can we see this? Would that work?
Yeah.
Cha-cha.
Well, good. Thank you. Thank you for the shameless plug.
Oh, we are so all about the shameless plug here.
So the show itself is called the HER2 Review. So the name HER2 Review comes from HER2 for HER2 positive.
Yep.
And this particular benefit is called Shimmy and Shake for survivors. So it's about, again, celebrating breast cancer survivors, creating community. I have 4 different performers, that are going to be a part of it, plus a host who's a local burlesque performer. Thrilda Swinton is.
Oh, I love that.
She's will be the MC for the evening, and
the androgynous ingenue. That's really a mouthful. Oh my gosh!
So Thrilda is great. She performs around Columbus, so if you have a chance, to see her, please do.
Oh, that's so cool.
But then I also have Ethel Lovelace out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh wow!
Also Twirlisha Devine out of Indianapolis. Madam Mira out of Cincinnati. Okay. She's actually the leader of Queen Bee Cabaret out of Cincinnati. And then Hot Tawdry is the headliner.
These are the best names. Oh my gosh.
Hot Tawdry is from Chicago. Okay. And she's also a breast cancer survivor.
Oh, cool.
So so these are all professional burlesque dancers. And Hot Tawdry,
this probably means a significant amount to her then.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So like she underwent a double mastectomy, as part of her treatment. And, she's back on the scene and, professional burlesque dancer and she's, just not afraid to share that, with anybody. Right. And was just super excited to be a part of this show. So, cool. So, plus I also have different survivorship services that are part of the show. So I've been working with providers that either work with permanent makeup or microblading, or nipple tattoos, or other types of tattooing. Like if you want to cover like mastectomy scars or other, other things, and also burlesque workshops. So Madame Mira from Queen Bee, she hosts a lot of workshops that are about building confidence, and also for those that are interested in possibly pursuing a career or hobby in burlesque. So she does a series of workshops.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So when is this all happening? Give us the deets.
So this is happening June 14th.
Okay.
So 614 day. Also Flag Day.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's at the Lincoln Theater. So so over on East Long Street, downtown. Absolutely love the Lincoln. Great venue to have a burlesque show.
Oh, for sure. Gives that old time feel to it as well. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I love the Lincoln. Really a great venue. And so yeah, June 14th, the main showcase, Shimmy and Shake for survivors. With all of those lovely performers that I had mentioned. So
how can people get involved? How can they get tickets?
So if you go to the Lincoln website, which is lincolntheatercolumbus.com, you can purchase tickets there.
Okay.
So you can also find my link tree, which is just her to review. So so you can find tickets and
Per
more
number
information.
2.
Way correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Okay.
So yeah, so HER numeral 2 underscore review.
Oh,
Review.
review, okay.
So and review is REVUE. Right.
Yes.
Right. So
It's like people spelling theater.
right.
Wrong. Yes.
So how do you spell theater? Just
Well,
out of
depends on what we're
curiosity.
talking about.
Right.
If we're going to see a movie, it's ER.
It's ER.
If we're
Correct.
going to a show, it's RE.
Yes. I agree.
Do you feel with? Okay.
Yeah.
That's just
I'm
always.
with you. I'm
Okay.
with you.
Okay.
So
Well, this is amazing. I'm so proud of what you're doing with this. This is great. I love this idea, and I hope that people come out to see it because it's absolutely a worthwhile cause. And if we can spread body confidence at all whatsoever, please.
yeah, I mean,
Please do that.
and like I said, that's what I really emphasize. It's about burlesque is not about body shaming in any way. It's about
Celebration.
It's
and
about
beauty.
celebration,
Yeah.
beauty, empowerment, confidence. We want people of all shapes and sizes and stories.
Yep.
To be there and
Yep.
to experience it and celebrate with each other.
Absolutely. I love that. I'm proud of you.
So, oh, thank you.
It's exciting. And I love your family too. So.
Oh, thanks.
Well, Scott, thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
We'll
It's
see
been
you at the review.
it's been it's been a pleasure. So thank you so much. So
And thanks for listening or watching. Whatever. You do you.
Boxland Media. Think big.